And we're like, okay, well, what can we do to support this? What can we do to change our life to make sure that this can happen? Because if that's your goal in life, and if that's, the vision that you have for the life that you want to live, what do we do to get there?
This show is dedicated to helping you strengthen your family tree and live financially free. Welcome to the Marriage, Kids, and Money podcast, everybody. This is Andy Hill, and today we're going to do two things. First, I'm going to share the 7 steps that I've taken to increase my salary from 5 figures to 6 figures. And second, we are back, my friends, with our Family Fi segment. That is Family Financial Independence. This week, we are featuring Erika Gellerman, who is in the midst of a huge family leap. She and her husband are quitting their jobs and moving to Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. We talk about their plans, and we also talk about why not everyone should do what they are doing. So we're going to help you grow your salary and then also talk about not having a salary at all. We're all over the map today, my friends. All right, let's jump into today's show. I don't know about you, but when I get a pay raise at work, I feel incredible. I get a gigantic smile across my face because I feel like my hard work has finally been validated. All the extra hours, the emails, the phone calls, the presentations, and the unwavering commitment to my company's success has quite literally paid off. But it's not as easy as just showing up to work one day and your boss calling you into his office and saying, "Hey, you, you're getting a raise, pal. Party." Let's party. If it were only that easy, right? We have to work hard. We got to put in the hours. We got to follow the right steps. Now, I've only been working in the corporate world for like 15 years. I started 15, 16 years, something like that. So I know that I still have a lot to learn. But what I do know is what's worked for me so far. And I figured I would just share that information with you all today in a lovely 7-step format. So here are the 7 important steps that I've taken to take my career from 5 figures to 6 figures. Number 1, establish credibility. We need to understand that our reputation matters. If we promise to do something and we don't do it one time, that's forgivable. But if we promise to do something on multiple separate occasions and we still don't come through, then we're showing who we really are in the eyes of our employer and our colleagues. We are unreliable. Let's be people of integrity. When we say we're going to do something, let's do it. Every day, we get a new opportunity to be our best selves. Let's start today. When we show our colleagues, clients, and employer that we're reliable and trustworthy, we get more and more people who are willing to vouch for us. We get more and more people saying, "That's a person I want on my team." Number 2, go above and beyond your job description. When I've been given recognition, raises, and bonuses in my career, it's always been tied to my ability to exceed expectations. I understand what my goals are, and I aim to exceed them. Perhaps I'm like a goal-oriented person, but I love the challenge, especially if there's a monetary reward tied to it. That's the money guy coming out here. Perhaps you don't know what your goals are in your role, and that is a perfect place to start. Take some time to meet with your supervisor and ask if the two of you can clearly chart out your annual goals. Tell her you want to exceed expectations in your role and you want to be very clear on what those expectations are. This meeting will do 3 things. Number 1, it's going to show your supervisor that you're invested in the company's success. The second thing, you'll come away with an understanding of how you can be successful in your role. And you will have clear, measurable metrics to show your supervisor in the future when you ask for that raise. And I promise I'm going to get to that point too, where we go from the 5 figures to the 6 figures. Overall, though, senior management, they love when employees make their lives easier. So this is a great place to start having that conversation with your supervisor. Number 3, grow your network. Although I love talking about the importance of tracking your net worth, I truly believe that your network is more powerful and more crucial to your long-term success than your net worth. As you've established yourself as a reliable colleague, invest some time in growing your professional relationships in the office. This doesn't mean you need to go out to lunch with everybody every day or do the happy hours or anything like that. Take time to have one-on-one meetings with your colleagues to let them know your career goals and your objectives. Have them do the same for you. You'd be surprised how the power of teamwork and networking, even inside the 4 walls of your office, can help you grow your career and your salary. Other areas to grow your network of allies and partners are in person and online. Grab lunches or meetings with new friends who work in your field and ask them their best practices for success. Become really active on LinkedIn, start some conversations, and grow your social network. My current job, the one I'm in right now, came from a recruiter finding me on LinkedIn because I was busy on there and I updated my profile and they found me. So, number 4, continuously educate yourself. It's important to never stop learning. This keeps your mind fresh and your supervisor will take notice. When you're consistently coming up with new ideas, different approaches, and alternative routes for the company to make or save money, you are quickly becoming an indispensable asset at the office. Of course, education can come in many forms. There are higher education routes like a master's or a doctorate program. Now, it's debatable whether degrees like an MBA are worth it lately, but more certified education can't hurt, especially if your employer financially supports your efforts through tuition reimbursement. That is an awesome perk to get at the office. There are definitely some less expensive and less time-consuming routes to consider. I will tell you because I did 5.5 years of night school for my MBA and I would not do it over again. But that's just the route that I took more in the agency world. I'm not sure it was actually required. But anyway, here are some of my favorite inexpensive education routes to consider. Number 1, listening to a podcast about your field of work on your way to work. Number 2, reading industry articles and blogs that give you different perspectives. Number 3, attending a local seminar or conference focused on enhancing your abilities. Number 4, taking a mentor out for a coffee or a lunch and picking their brain about their success. And then the last one here, number 5, checking out a book at the local library centered around your business. Having a spirit of curiosity and a will to improve will help you get to that next level much faster. All right, number 5, ask for a raise. Yay! Yeah, here I am at the juicy part, right? Well, I did that on purpose because just going into the office and, making your request for more money, it just doesn't work like that. You need to put in the work first before you ask for the green. Proving your worth and making your employer feel like they just can't do their business without you is key. Let's say it's time to ask, right? You clearly understand your goals. You've exceeded your expectations. You have a great reputation. Your colleagues think you're a rock star, and you're expanding your mind with new ideas consistently. Where do we go from here? Okay, here's what I've done when I'm asking for a raise. Number 1, research the average salary of your position through sites like Glassdoor so you can see if you're in the general range. Number 2, take a close friend out for lunch or coffee who works in the same field and ask them to share where they are salary-wise. This will help you get a gauge for what to ask for. Number 3, decide what you feel is fair based on your research. Now, looking into it personally, 3 to 5% is average for staying in the same position. And if we're talking about a promotion, 8 to 10% is a solid number. Number 4, prepare a short synopsis of your accomplishments to back up your request for a raise. Number 5, craft a letter and print it out and present it to your supervisor. Number 6, set a meeting notice with your supervisor in the near future for this conversation. Number 7, when you're in the meeting, state what your request is confidently. Remember, you've earned this. You got to act like it. Number 8, start by sharing your accomplishments and your commitment to the company, and then share your request. Number 9, then just stop talking. Wait for their feedback. Sometimes we talk too much because silence can be a powerful negotiator. Number 10, give them time to think and review it with upper management. If too much time passes by, you can definitely set up another in-person meeting to follow up. Okay, number 6, jump at new opportunities. Let's say you got that 3% raise, right? Way to go. Congratulations. You deserve it. You worked hard. More money in your pocket is always a good thing. Now, don't forget to save for a rainy day in that emergency fund or invest some more money, and also make sure you have some fun too. Perhaps this process has gotten you fired up now, though, and you're looking for ways to grow your salary even more. This is when you can keep your ear to the street and learn about opportunities for advancement. The bigger the role, the bigger the pay. So let me tell you a little story about how I did that. I went from $48,000 to $100,000 in my salary early in my career by stating my genuine interest to upper management about a new and highly coveted position that was opening up. Luckily, I had been exceeding expectations up to that point, so I quickly became the favorite candidate and was accepted into the role quickly. But that was a big jump. I was making a lot more money, right? But I had a lot more responsibility. So make sure you're ready for those responsibilities that come with the role, because man, it was a lot more. But I mean, it was a big deal. 50,000 to 100,000 pretty much. Yeah, a lot more came with it, but I was very happy, and it helped put our family in a good position. Number 7, take a new position outside the company. Oh man, if you're exceeding expectations, documenting your success, and your supervisors are still not giving you the monetary recognition you feel you deserve, there is no shame in pursuing other opportunities. Taking a career jump to a completely new employer can be an excellent opportunity to quickly increase your salary and reboot your frustrated brain. Moves like this can also help you receive a fast promotion if you are being passed over at your current employer, and potentially you could get a 10 to 30% salary increase if you play your cards right. Before making such an important decision, make sure you factor in other non-salary specific aspects like your commute, your benefits, your insurance, your retirement options, your flexibility with your work schedule, who your supervisor is. Oh man, that's a big one. The work environment, and the general financial stability of the new place you're going to be working. Okay, let's recap those 7 steps that I just went through to take your salary from 5 figures to 6 figures. Number 1, establish credibility. Number 2, go above and beyond your job description. Number 3, grow your network. Number 4, continuously educate yourself. Number 5, ask for a raise. Number 6, jump at new opportunities. And then number 7, if all else fails, take a new position outside the company. Good things happen to smart, goal-oriented, and determined people. I've had the opportunity to interview probably almost 200 of them on this weekly podcast. These self-made millionaires, financially independent rock stars, and debt-free parents all carry a similar trait. They don't give up when things get difficult. They believe in themselves, and they know if they keep at it, their hard work will pay dividends down the road. We'll be back to the show after a word from our sponsors. Are you waiting for open enrollment in the fall to sign up for vision benefits because you missed it last time? No need to wait to get the coverage you need. VSP Individual Vision Plans has you covered. You can purchase VSP Individual Vision Plans on your own any day of the year, 24/7, 365. Plans include annual benefits with a generous allowance for frames like Lacoste, Nike, and Nine West, a comprehensive eye exam, and lens enhancements like progressives. With plans starting as low as $13 per month, VSP Individual Vision Plans offer the same great benefits as employer-sponsored plans, but direct to you. Check out VSP today and support this show at marriagekidsandmoney.com/VSP. That's marriagekidsandmoney.com/VSP. VSP Individual Vision Plans give you excellent vision coverage for the lowest out-of-pocket cost. Plans have exclusions and limitations. Visit marriagekidsandmoney.com/VSP for plan details. Are you interested in investing in individual stocks, but you're afraid of picking the wrong companies? Or perhaps you're a fan of passive index funds, but you're drawn in by the allure of individual stocks with higher returns? Well, I feel you, my friends. I'm an index fund fan myself, but I'm definitely interested in individual stocks. So, what do we do, right? Well, Emperor Investments may just be our solution. You see, Emperor Investments are the exact intersection between passive investing and active investing. You get the ease of knowing your portfolio is invested in high-performing companies with the active research that's needed to ensure you're getting a solid return on your investment. Emperor performs this magic by using their proprietary algorithm to sift through top-performing stocks. They then create a dream team of stocks for you to invest in that provides a solid dividend return. So with Emperor, you get the simplicity of passive with the aggressiveness of active. And you get this all for an annual fee of just 0.6%. But since you're a fan of the show, Emperor is offering the first 6 months for free. Yes, the first 6 months are on them. To get this awesome deal and see if Emperor is for you, check out marriagekidsandmoney.com/emperor. That's marriagekidsandmoney.com/emperor. EMPEROR. With Emperor Investments, you get automated investing designed to earn you income while you enjoy life. Thanks for taking time to consider our sponsors, everyone. Now let's jump back into the show. For our Family Fi segment this month, we are talking about pursuing financial independence by doing work we love. There's a movement taking place amongst our generation, my friends. A movement that says, don't work at a job you hate just because it pays well. Today, I want to talk with someone who, after 14 years of working the corporate life, has decided to leave their job in order to pursue a new life of purpose in Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. Erika Gellerman is our guest today. She's a marketing consultant and creator of The Worth Project, a personal finance newsletter, blog, and podcast. She writes and contributes to major publications like Forbes, Business Insider, and NerdWallet. She's also a mother to a 1-year-old boy named Henry. Welcome to the show, Erika.
Thank you so much for having me, Andy. It's such a pleasure to be here. I listen to this all the time.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So, Erika, this adventure to Hawaii sounds really exciting, and your change of career. So, talk to us a little bit about what type of work you were doing after you graduated so people can understand the type of work you were in.
Sure. So, right after college, I graduated and decided I like money, but I don't really know what I want to do with my life. So I decided I would go get my CPA. And I ended up working at a big company, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and did that for a while. And while I enjoyed the people I worked with, I didn't enjoy the work. So I went back to school and wanted to do something a little bit more creative. And so I went and got my MBA at Duke and decided to go into marketing. And so coming out, I did a little consumer marketing, and then I was like, I really want to go back into the money world. And so I started doing marketing consulting for the financial space. So really for CPAs and financial advisors, and was like, all right, this combines, what I like about money and marketing. So there we go.
Very cool. So you feel like you found something that you're passionate about?
I do. I really enjoy it. It's been a journey and it's fun. I think the biggest pleasure that I get is from not helping necessarily these companies market themselves, but from creating things that really resonate, messages that customers understand. And because there's so much jargon out there, and I just find it so intimidating. And so creating something that's just in plain English that you or I could really, just read and completely understand and know what's going on, that's really what I'm most passionate about. And so I work with a lot of advisors who want to speak in plain English, but they don't do that in their daily life and they don't know how to write that way. And so I help them do that. And that's really, really rewarding.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So when did you, during this process, this career process, sort of make that decision to say, I think I'm going to go out and do this myself? Because that's a big leap. People who are comfortable with the PricewaterhouseCoopers job because it's got the name and it's got the benefits and everything like that. How do you decide to just go out on your own?
So it was a long process, actually. So I went into consumer marketing, and my husband has had the same job he's had one job for 14 years, which he is actually now leaving as we start this new journey. But he was transferred to London, and I was like, okay, I'll come with you. And so I transferred to London with him and had to find a new job over here because, as I mentioned, I went to business school, which was great, but also very expensive. And it landed me in 6 figures of debt. And so there was no way I was going to start anything on my own with that sort of elephant, weighing me down. And so I ended up finding a job with a tech company here in London. And I said to Jordan, I remember on the first day, because I was already getting that itch of like, I want to do something on my own, but I didn't know what. And I said to him, like, I either want to love this job or despise it. I want there to be no in between. Like, I hope I love it, but I don't want something to be just fine that I feel comfortable with, and live like halfway excited about my career forever. And so unfortunately I didn't love it. I despised it. And I needed to find something else to help me like get through it. And so I started actually writing, and the only thing I knew to write about was money. And so after, taking the CPA exam and just my own personal journey with my student loans, that was the only thing I could really think or want to write about. And so I started writing for some small blogs. They're not small, actually. I started writing for sites that cater to millennial women. So like the Every Mom and a site called Cupcakes and Cashmere. So I started writing and getting a little bit more comfortable. I started my own blog. And then from there, I realized that I had people signing up for my newsletter with, companies that were either CPA firms or, big financial firms. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Why are they signing up for my personal blog about money? This is strange. And then the first email came in and somebody was like, hey, do you do this for companies? And I said, I sure do. Let me figure that out. Yeah. And so it was in there. It was before that instance. I actually left my job while I was just getting this writing career started. And Jordan was employed. And so he luckily was able to help a little bit financially through that, even though it's tough. We're living in London. It's a very expensive place. And so I had a short runway to kind of get myself up and running and earn some income and get myself back to a place where I was contributing meaningfully to our family. But so it was really, I just despised my job, started something as an outlet, and I let it grow organically from there.
That's incredible. So you made the transition from full-time employee to doing a little side gig that brought you some joy, and then transitioning into this being your full-time thing and becoming a mother at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. So luckily I transitioned before Henry came along, but Yeah.
How has that been as a young mother growing your small business, trying to, I guess, maintain the flexibility of that important growth, but then also spending time with Henry?
It's been much more challenging than I thought, to be like completely honest. And I listen to all of these podcasts where people say, I was able to grow my business in 5 hours a week while my child was napping. And that just wasn't my reality. First of all, Henry was a terrible napper. And so he would go down for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, I have 20 minutes to shove food in my face and shower. And there was no work happening. And so it was more challenging, I think, than I expected. But it taught me to be really intentional with my time and with what I prioritized. And so I actually had some clients that were outside of the financial industry because, people would pass my name along and I'd say, sure, I'll help a natural food chef too. And sure, I'll help this person who's an interior designer or somebody who's opening a yoga studio. And at the end of the day, all of those additional jobs, while they were great because they brought in money, they were sucking time away from the core purpose of what I was trying to do. And so that was a really scary thing, was to kind of try and say, no, I'm not going to continue working on these jobs that, even though they pay well, are taking me in different directions and splitting my focus, because ultimately I want to make sure I'm as focused as I can while I work so that I can work as quickly as possible to spend as much time as I can with Henry.
That's a lot for a young mother.
Thank you. I feel like I look at everybody else and it feels like everybody else does it so much better.
It's because you're listening to these crazy podcasts that feature these, these folks that have made some incredible feats. And I joke about it because I do that, is that I share these stories. But I'm wondering, is it refreshing sometimes to hear that it's not always that easy?
I think for me personally it is, because I went through, a lot of times where I felt like a failure, right? When Henry's 4 months old and I had 12 hours of, babysitting time that I had lined up for somebody to come over. And I was so frustrated that I couldn't get enough work done to, bring in a full-time income, even though I'm only working 12 hours a week. But I just had such mismatched expectations. And I think sometimes it can be helpful to hear those inspiring stories, absolutely, but then also hear the ones that say, if it doesn't work out like that, it's okay. You can keep going. It just might look a little different.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us today, because that is a good perspective for people to have. Absolutely. So at the same time, or I don't know, around the same time, it sounds like your husband is making a transition out of the workforce as well. So tell us what he was doing and why he's decided to move off of that.
He is. And this is probably like the scariest, but not scary at the same time, thing we've ever done. So I had started my business before Henry was born. Obviously, I scaled back when Henry was very young. And while I was 7 months pregnant, Jordan's parents were going to come out and they were going to come out here and live once Henry was born for the first few months to help us out, which was amazing. We were over here because he's an engineer. He's a chemical engineer for an oil company, and he's done the same job for 14 years. And he's loved it because it's allowed him to move all over the world and try new projects. And he really works with people that he admires. He thinks his coworkers are phenomenal. So we're in London for his job. We're expecting a baby. And I'm 7 months pregnant, and we go out looking for a little cottage for his parents to stay in. And, we're kind of getting everything together for Henry to be born. And we call his parents, when we get home, we're like, we found the best place. And his mom just goes right into it. And she's like, I can't come. I have a very aggressive form of breast cancer. And, sorry, everything's off. And we were just, I don't think I appreciated it until recently, how challenging it was for Jordan at that time, because he's about to become a new dad. And, he's so excited to bring a child into this world. And then he has his mom, who's 5,000 miles away, battling breast cancer, and he can't be in two places at once. And so it was a challenging time for him. And I think that sometimes you need that little nudge of something to get you to really explore, like, what am I doing? And so even though he loved his job, I shouldn't say loved, even though he really enjoyed pieces of his job, he felt that there was something missing in his purpose. It wasn't what he ultimately felt like he's here to do. It wasn't the impact that he wanted to make, because deep down, Jordan loves the environment, which is shocking for somebody who works for an oil company. It's one of those, like, you get sucked onto a career path and then you keep going and you blink and it's 14 years later and all of a sudden you're on this track doing something that doesn't align with your values. And so I knew he was struggling with this. I felt terrible because, at this point, Henry, is a couple months old and I'm making pretty much nothing because I've scaled back as I'm like giving myself a little mini maternity leave. And he's like becoming unhappy as he starts realizing this isn't what I wanted my life to be. And my mom is far away and, I don't have the freedom that I want. And so I actually found, I don't know if you've heard of this, but George Kinder's 3 questions. Have you heard of these?
I've heard of it from you.
Oh, okay. So he's George Kinder was a financial planner, and he gave up that side of his practice, but he created these 3 questions that sparked this movement called financial life planning. And because I was writing for advisors, this kind of kept coming up in that space and things that I would write about for them because he's really well known in that space. And so I was like, well, what are these 3 questions? And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. These 3 questions are supposed to help you figure out what your purpose is in life, what you want to do. And I was like, there's no way 3 questions can do this. But I printed it out. I gave it to Jordan. We put Henry down for a nap and I'm like, okay, we're each going to do this. We walked through the 3 questions and we each did it separately. And then we came together and we started talking about our answers. And these questions are like, if you have 5 years left to live, what would you do with your time? And you're like, oh my goodness, like I've never thought like that before. And it just kind of, especially with his mom going through this, it like really put it in perspective to him. So we got done with these questions and Jordan just sat there and he's like, I care so deeply about the environment. My company is in direct conflict with that. I can't do this anymore. I need to quit my job. And that was it. And it was just, it happened. And that was what was so great about these 3 questions, was it helped make everything so clear that decisions that would kind of take a long time or you would kind of, think about but never actually do for years, it just made everything crystal clear. And he made a decision and we're like, okay, well, what can we do to support this? What can we do to change our life to make sure that this can happen? Because if that's your goal in life, and if that's, the vision that you have for the life that you want to live, well, what do we do to get there? And so that's really what kind of inspired this whole change. That was now a year ago. And we've been working slowly towards it since then. And we have a one-way ticket back to the U.S. and back to Hawaii. We're leaving the U.K. in August, spending a month with his family, and then going to Hawaii in September.
Wow. Well, you know what, Erika? I am inspired by these 3 questions and your desire to find purpose in life. And it's, as we were talking about earlier, it's a very inspiring story. But since you are a money person, let's talk about the financial implications of this decision. So what did you guys do to prepare to be able to leave your corporate jobs with a 1-year-old and move from London to Hawaii? Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie. At first, when he was like, I'm going to quit my job, I was like, oh, no, you're not. I'm like, hold on. We have a mortgage. We have like all of this stuff. And then we sat down. It was a lot of time with spreadsheets. But so some of the things that we started doing was, the very first thing we did was we sat down and re-looked at all of our expenses. So we relooked at everything that we thought, everything we were spending money on that we thought was crucial to our life. So, for example, Jordan has a car here that he wanted to keep. But cars are expensive, right? And so what happens if we decide to go carless? What does that look like? Selling the car, going carless? Well, that's actually a huge help money-wise. We had also purchased a piece of land in California with the dreams of building, our dream home on that. And because that didn't line up with the vision for our life anymore, it was really easy to make the decision to sell it and to say, okay, well, what if we take that out of the equation? How much does that free up every month? Because we had a small mortgage on it. I shouldn't say small, we had a mortgage on it, so how much does that free up every single month? And then we started making small changes, just really being very intentional with our money. So I like to think of it as for every dollar that I'm spending, I want to get the most amount of happiness from it, right? So is everything that we're spending bringing us a lot of happiness? Is it bringing us the most joy that it possibly can? And there were so many areas where it just wasn't. So for example, we were eating out, and because we're busy parents, right? Because we're both working, we have a, kind of a hectic, crazy household, but we were picking up takeout and we were doing things that just maybe weren't healthy choices for our money and for ourselves. And so we said, well, what does it look like if we try to give up eating out and go move towards like a zero waste household? Like that actually made a huge impact on our budget every single week. And we did these things out of like more of like an experiment. Like what happens if we start doing this? What happens if we make these small changes? What happens if we, take these things out of our budget? How much more breathing room do we have? And all of a sudden we were saving so much more money. And we've always tried to live very leanly, right? We've never been big spenders. We've never, lived above our means, aside from the fact that I landed myself in a lot of student debt. That was definitely living above my means. But aside from that, we always tried to be good. And it was shocking once we went through with maybe a little bit more intention, looking at our money, like how much we were able to live without. And then so the final piece of it was we were looking at moving costs, and we're like, oh my goodness, moving to Hawaii, moving all of our stuff, doing this is expensive. And so finally one day we were like, well, what happens if we just sell it all? What if we just sell everything we own? Because honestly, I don't really want to pack it up and take it with us. So we're selling like 90% of everything we own. And, we don't expect to make a ton of money from selling things because the track record of how much we're making so far is not a lot. But it's more the idea that, we're just really downsizing our life. And to some of our friends who are in similar, corporate jobs, we look insane right now, getting rid of everything with our 1-year-old and like booking a one-way ticket to Hawaii to, do work that we're more passionate about. But when we were able to kind of remove all the clutter from our life of the things we thought we should want, we ended up with a lot more breathing room in order to chase these goals.
Got it. Well, let's talk about the income side of things. Obviously, I mean, you could reduce your expenses a ton. You could live on $10,000 a year, but where's the $10,000 coming from? What's Jordan gonna be doing for work, and how is your business going?
Sure. So I am building up my business quite a bit, and so that has been really good. Thank goodness I have the opportunity to do that, right? And so I've seen it grow significantly every single month. And I'm to a point where I can cover our basic monthly expenses in Hawaii just based on my income. And that was our goal. Like, we want this goal of, not having to dip into savings when we go to Hawaii. The second thing we did was, as we've been reducing our expenses so much over this year, we put all of that excess into a savings account, which we call our Freedom Fund. And that's for Jordan. That's his account. So right now it's like a nice cushion, and it's to cover, the things that happen in life, because these things happen. Like, things are going to happen that I won't be able to cover with my income. And so we've said, Jordan, you get 12 months. You get 12 months to figure out where you're going to work in this green space, figure out what you want to do, what type of business you want to start. And once those 12 months are done, hopefully we haven't touched that safety net cushion bank account that we have. But if we do, that's fine. But yeah, you have 12 months to figure this out. And this was really important for me because when I was in a job that I hated and I wanted to transition to working for myself, he said, okay, we can make this work. We have a little financial runway and a cushion, and I'm happy picking up the slack for a while. And so now this is my chance to repay it to him. And I'm really actually surprisingly excited to do that and to give him that space. I know he's a little hesitant and a little worried, and I think it's going to be weird for him to not have an income. But I'm so excited that he gets to spend more time thinking about what he wants to do and spend more time with his son.
I love that. I love the fact that you guys have built up this. It's almost like I don't want to call it a mini retirement. It's almost like a gap year. We could use
it's a gap year. I love that. Jordan's having a gap year. He might not like that.
He might not like that because it sounds like post-college thing. Well, I don't know. It's time to breathe. And I think that's important because if he's working at a job, full time and, he's got to make sure that he's bringing in the money and everything like that, you don't really have time to explore what your true passion is. And the fact that this is the key fact, not everybody can do this, but if you decide, hey, let's save up enough money where this is financially possible. This is the responsible way to do this. Not only are you allowing yourself to dream and get an understanding of what your true passion is, but you're doing it in a responsible way. So kudos. That's the main point I wanted to make sure everybody heard again, because not everybody can or should do this, right? I mean, what are some irresponsible ways of going about what you guys are doing? I mean, let's talk about that. You're a money person, so let's make sure that people hear this loud and clear.
Yeah, some irresponsible ways of doing this is not walking through the scenarios because we have taken a year to get comfortable with this and to build ourselves up to this place where we can go. If I was to look back at what we were doing last spring and what we thought, the assumptions that we made money-wise last spring, first of all, healthcare, we had no idea. That was the biggest thing we had to go research. It would be irresponsible to do this without knowing how you're going to be able to protect your family with something like health insurance. So not doing that kind of research it would make your journey really hard. And here's the thing is we don't want to fall on our face with this, right? At the end of 12 months, or we don't want to get 6 months in and be like, oh no, Jordan, you got to go beg for your job back because this isn't working. And so you just want to try and set yourself up as much as possible. Another thing that I think, having really unrealistic expectations, right? So you have to go into it knowing what your goals are. And if your goal is to come out of it and build a business, have a business that you've created for yourself on the other side, which is what Jordan's real goal is, I think that you have to be really intentional with how you set up your time when you're out there and how you kind of set up the systems that you have in place. So the money systems that we have to make sure we're not spending a ton of money, how we're setting ourselves up for success by getting rid of things like a piece of land. It's really you have to look at your whole entire picture and not have unrealistic expectations about what's going to happen in this next year. Sure. And then also doing it with a kid. Things happen with kids, right? Unexpected things happen with kids. And I would hate to have, something happen and we need, let's say, emergency care for Henry or something like that, and to not feel like we can financially help him, or that we have to put it on a credit card, or that it's, oh, you don't need to, go to the doctor. You're probably fine. And risking it because of money, and so I think if you have kids that you're having to think about, having a safety net, not going into it without a safety net is just not a good idea. It's just not.
So it's a leap of faith with a safety net.
It is. Yeah. We're tiptoeing. We're tiptoeing.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the health insurance thing, because that is a big mystery for a lot of people. So what have you discovered? What are your plans? How is that going to work for your family of three?
Yeah. this is actually a really good tip that I should actually suggest that people do if they're in a place with their employer, they have a good relationship, but they don't want to work for their employer anymore. There's a lot of negotiation that can happen when you're leaving a company. And so Jordan put in his notice, or told his boss he was thinking about putting in his notice 2 months ago. And we're not leaving for another 3 months. So 5 months early. And so giving them that runway, saying, hey, I think I'm going to leave, gave his boss a chance to say, well, what can we do to have you stick around for a little bit longer and transition? And Jordan was able to say, okay, I'll stick around for, these extra 5 months, but I'm going to want something at the end. At the end, I'm going to want healthcare. I'm going to want healthcare for my family. And so he was able to secure us healthcare for the next, I think it's 10 months once he leaves his job, which is huge and which is something we were not planning on.
That is incredible.
And so I can't stress this enough. We actually, do you know the blog Financial Samurai?
Yes.
He talks about engineering your layoff. Jordan read that. He was like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to see what I can do here. And I have to say, it worked. And the only thing we wanted was healthcare figured out. And having 10 months of healthcare, it was a huge surprise that wasn't built into our plan, that gave us a lot of breathing room. Once that 10 months is up, we've already looked. We know what plan we're going to take from the exchange. It's actually much less scary than I thought because we were ready. We had already done all the research and we were ready to make that leap. And so getting something on the healthcare exchange, very expensive. I think for the three of us, we wanted a very good plan because we do expect to have another child. We do hope to have another child in the future. And so we really want good healthcare to cover our 1-year-old and a potential future child. And so health insurance for the three of us is going to be about $1,700, $1,800 a month, which it's expensive, but it's a straightforward process. And, you use their calculator and you kind of figure it out and you build it in. Thankfully, it's a business expense at the very end, so it can be included as, what I'm supporting the family with income and with healthcare. So, but yeah, so that's what we've decided to do was go, once these 10 months are up, we'll go through the exchange.
That's incredible. So he has his runway and you have your growing business.
I do. Yes. So let's hope it keeps going. There's always fear, right? I think there's always fear, even though it sounds like it's figured out. It's always scary to make a change, but it's worth it. I hope.
Let's talk about the worth it part, because we talked about maybe some bad moves that people could make if they're thinking of quitting their jobs and moving to Hawaii. Let's talk about why you are excited about this. What is filling your heart up right now?
So we've actually lived in Hawaii before. So 9 years ago, we lived in Hawaii and we said, we always want to come back here because we really like the lifestyle. For us, it's such a wonderful place to live. And we had always thought we would go back in retirement, and we never thought we would have the chance to go back before then. And so it's just making me so happy knowing that we have created this option for ourselves to go back, in our mid-30s, not in our mid-60s, And so that's just being intentional and taking the time and really creating a plan. You can do it. You can go move to the place you want to move to. And so that's just making me so, so happy. I'm also really excited for Jordan to finally get into the space that he's so, so passionate about and so excited about. I feel like ever since we've decided to do this, everything is easier. So we used to try and stay up late to work on ideas. And now that he knows what he wants to do, in general, he wants to explore this space, seeing him, he's up so late every single night. And I'm like, go to bed, Jordan. But it just makes me happy seeing like the fire and the enthusiasm that he has for, this new life change that, we're embarking on right now. And it makes me so happy. And then the idea of getting to spend so much more time with him and with our son and together as a family, like, yes, we'll be working, but there's also a lot more flexibility. Right now, he's gone for 11 to 12 hours per day, like most working people are, and just the idea that he's going to get to be there a lot more and be a lot more present in Henry's life as he's a little guy. It's just, I'm really, really excited for this.
And he's going to be there for a big adventure you're going on.
A big adventure. Yeah, we're excited.
That's very cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you about this secured, safe leap of faith. I love it. Well, let's talk about people who are listening that say, well, that sounds pretty exciting. What suggestions might you have for people to, I guess, try to find that true calling or their passion, something that they're really inspired about, and maybe make their safe leap of faith?
So I cannot more highly recommend the 3 questions from George Kinder and the financial life planning process. So we actually ended up doing the 3 questions, and then we got his book. And I have been the type of person who has always said, I don't know what I want to do with my life, or, what am I doing with my life, and kind of feeling very lost. And these 3 questions just bring everything into focus so quickly for you. I recommend them to everyone that I see who doesn't even ask for recommendations. I'm like, oh, do you enjoy what you're doing? No, you should do the 3 questions because it'll help you figure out exactly what you want to do in life.
Can you tell us what the 3 questions are?
I sure can.
I mean, we don't have to do the practice right now, but you can tell us what they are, and I'll definitely send the link to everybody.
Yes. So the first question is, imagine you have all the money in the world. What would you do? Which I didn't find to be helpful. I was like, well, I don't have all the money in the world, but wrote that question. The next question is, now imagine that you've gone to the doctor and you have just been surprised with the news that you're going to die in the next 5 to 10 years, and you won't, be sick. It'll be sudden and you don't know when it's coming. What would you change about your life right now? And so that's like, I remember I was like 2 months postpartum taking these, and I was writing these out, and I was like, oh my God, no, my baby was just born, like very, very much crying. And then the third question is, now actually your doctor made a mistake and you only have 24 hours left to live. Who did you not get to become? And I was like, oh my God, who did I not get to become? And it just taps into the, all the dreams you had for yourself as a child and like who you thought you would end up becoming. And you start thinking about that and thinking about where you are right now. And for us, both of us, all of a sudden it just became crystal clear. Like, this is the person I had wanted to become and I didn't get a chance to. And, no, tomorrow is never guaranteed. And so I need to start becoming that person that I wanted to be right now. And it just lights a fire under you. And so you actually come up with, coming out of this, there are key core values that you want to build your life around. And so for us, it was community, it was the environment for Jordan, it was family time, and it was our mental and physical health. And so we started prioritizing those in small steps coming out of that. And so it was, a lot more family time, a lot more, trying Jordan selling his car so that he could, reduce his impact on the environment. And it really starts bringing your life into alignment, like how you actually live your life, bringing it into alignment with who you actually want to become. And it was such a magical process. So I highly encourage everybody to sit down and take the time to do them because it's life-changing. I don't know.
Well, Erika, you're going to have to send me that link. I will put in the show notes for everybody to test out and I guess find their purpose. I love it. Very cool. Erika, thank you so much for being here today. Where can people connect with you more and learn about this crazy, awesome adventure you're on?
Thank you. Yes. So sharing everything on my website, theworthproject.co, and on Instagram at theworthproject.co. And we're going to start sharing, my gosh, what we're doing in the next 12 weeks, selling everything, like finishing out our time in Europe, and then what it's like to leave everything and move to Hawaii. So we're excited.
Well, Erika, thank you so much for being here today. This was extremely inspiring, and I'm glad we walked through it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was really nice to be here. I've listened so much, and it was such an honor.
Such an inspiring chat with our new friend Erika. She's making bold moves, but with smart and careful action, which I appreciate. Here are my top 3 takeaways from my conversation with Erika Gellerman. Number 1, grow your small business to build confidence and steady income. Before taking a leap like this, another income source is a smart move. Erika's worked for a while now to build up her income so that her young family's expenses are covered with her new business situation. This small business growth will also give you the confidence to say, I can do this. Number 2, develop a runway of funds. You'll feel a lot more secure in transitioning to the entrepreneur world when you have a mega emergency fund to support you. Erika and her husband Jordan pooled up quite a bit of cash before making this decision, and they got health insurance coverage during the transition process as well. What a success story that Jordan negotiated this into his exit package. I was just blown away by that. Kudos to Jordan there. Number 3, don't leave your job if you're not financially prepared. While the Gellerman story is super inspiring, it's also one that we should all learn from. Just because you're not into your job doesn't mean you should leave immediately without thought or planning. Especially if you have kids. Especially if you're a parent. Erika and Jordan have communicated, they've planned, they've saved, they've used those awesome 3 questions to inspire themselves, they've sold assets that didn't support their long-term plan, and then they made the leap. So be safe, be cautious, and then be bold. Erika, thank you so much for sharing your amazing family adventure with us today. I wish you the very best of luck with this family mission to Hawaii, and I hope Jordan finds something that he really loves to do. As a quick reminder, my friends, this show is for entertainment purposes only. Be sure to seek out a professional for your specific financial situation. Before we go for the day, I'd like to ask you to do any one of these 3 things to support this show. Number 1, connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Andy Hill MKM. That's Andy Hill MKM. The second thing, subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast player. And then the last thing, share this episode with a friend who wants to grow their salary at work or embrace the entrepreneur world like Erika has. You can find this show and all the links and resources mentioned at marriagekidsandmoney.com/session 139. And if you're new to the show, I would highly recommend you check out session 116, the 10 steps to young family wealth and happiness. You can find that one at marriagekidsandmoney.com/session 116. It is a great place to start. In the spirit of growth and inspiration, I'm going to end the show with a quote today from Anonymous. Be bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined. Be bold and be smart, my friends. Carpe diem. Oh, hey, one more quick announcement, my friends. I am starting a private Marriage, Kids, and Money mastermind group that will be meeting every other Wednesday starting July 10th, 2019, depending on when you're listening to this. Now, this mastermind that I will be hosting is focused on helping people like yourself craft goals for their family finances and stick to them. It is scientifically proven that you will achieve your goals if you write them down, publicly commit to them, and have regular accountability meetings. It is science, people. You can't argue with science. If you're interested in paying off your debt, hitting your savings goals, improving your marriage and money relationship, or even paying off your flipping mortgage, then go to marriagekidsandmoney.com/mastermind. That's marriagekidsandmoney.com/mastermind to learn more and to indicate your general interest in joining. So you're going to find some information on that link. You'll give me a little bit of information like your name and your email, and then we can be in contact. Now I'm going to limit this to 5 people only. Yes, only 5. Why 5, right? Because I want it to be intimate. I want it to be close. I want to give you my attention for the entire hour and support you with your big goals. So please go to this link by Friday, June 21st. I am only keeping the opportunity open for 5 days, so please act fast. Go to marriagekidsandmoney.com/mastermind. Again, that is marriagekidsandmoney.com/mastermind. I am really looking forward to working closely with an awesome group and helping you all achieve your big family financial goals. All right, see ya.